It was a sunny afternoon at the grand estate of the city's most influential billionaire, Mr. Adrian Blackwell. The garden shimmered with perfectly manicured flowers, fountains danced with sparkling water, and expensive art pieces dotted every corner. Among the crowd of the city's elite, there was Isabella Monroe, the woman everyone admired for her wealth, style, and influence. She spotted Lila, a simple woman dressed in plain clothes, quietly standing near the entrance, trying not to draw attention. Isabella's lips curled into a disdainful smile. With a swift motion, she spat on Lila's face as the entire gathering gasped in shock. Lila froze for a moment, wiping the spit from her cheek, eyes wide but calm. She didn't say a word. The room fell silent, waiting for a reaction. Murmurs echoed around, questioning who this quiet, ordinary woman was. Then, the most unexpected thing happened. Adrian Blackwell, the billionaire husband, turned his gaze from Isabella to Lila. His piercing eyes softened, but there was a spark, a mix of curiosity and authority. "Isabella," he said calmly, yet every word was like a command that silenced the room. "Apologize. Now." Isabella laughed, mocking his tone. "Oh, Adrian, don't tell me you're taking a side. She's nothing but a nobody." Adrian's smile was cold, almost dangerous. Sometimes, nobodies teach the most unforgettable lessons. And with that, he walked toward Lila, extending his hand, not to help her, but as if offering her a silent promise. Her time to shine had come. She spotted Lila a simple woman dressed in plain clothes, quietly standing near the entrance, trying not to draw attention. Isabella's lips curled into a disdainful smile. With a swift motion, she spat on Lila's face as the entire gathering gasped in shock. Lila froze for a moment, wiping the spit from her cheek, eyes wide but calm. She didn't say a word. The room fell silent, waiting for a reaction. Murmurs echoed around, questioning who this quiet, ordinary woman was. Then, the most unexpected thing happened. Adrian Blackwell the billionaire husband, turned his gaze from Isabella to Lila. His piercing eyes softened, but there was a spark, a mix of curiosity and authority. "Isabella," he said calmly, yet every word was like a command that silenced the room. "Apologize. Now." Isabella laughed, mocking his tone. "Oh, Adrian, don't tell me you're taking a side. She's nothing but a nobody." Adrian's smile was cold, almost dangerous. Sometimes, nobodies teach the most unforgettable lessons. And with that, he walked toward Lila, extending his hand, not to help her, but as if offering her a silent promise. Her time to shine had come. The guests were still whispering, stunned by Adrian's reaction. Isabella's arrogance wavered for a split second, but she quickly regained her poise, smirking at Lila. But Lila didn't flinch. She stood tall, calm, her eyes reflecting a quiet strength that no one had expected. There was something in her demeanor, something unseen yet magnetic, that caught everyone off guard. Adrian gestured for everyone to step back. "Let her speak," he said, his voice carrying a weight that silenced Isabella completely. Lila took a deep breath. "I didn't come here to compete with anyone or prove myself," she said softly, yet her words echoed clearly across the garden. "I'm here because I believe respect is earned, not demanded." A hush fell over the crowd. Isabella's face turned red, not with anger, but with disbelief. She had never encountered anyone who stood up to her without shouting or crying. Adrian watched her closely, a subtle smile forming. "Wise words," he said. "Now, let's see if actions can speak louder than words." He signaled to the staff, who brought forward a grand challenge. A charity auction was about to begin, but Adrian had something unusual planned, something that would put Lila in the spotlight. The audience murmured, unsure what was happening. Lila simply followed Adrian's lead, her calm aura turning into an unspoken promise that this event would change everything. The grand hall was buzzing with anticipation. Guests murmured about the unknown woman daring to stand alongside Adrian Blackwell, but Lila remained composed, a quiet confidence radiating from her. Adrian raised his hand, silencing the crowd. "Tonight," he announced, "we're not just here to admire wealth or power. We're here to witness talent, courage, and character. Lila, would you do the honors? Isabella gasped. Me? This is ridiculous, she spat out, her ego bruised by the suggestion. Lila simply smiled, stepping forward gracefully. The challenge Adrian had set was simple in appearance but impossible in practice, a timed task of strategy, precision, and creativity that would test anyone's intellect and courage. As the clock started, Lila moved with purpose. Every decision was precise, every action calculated yet effortless. The guests watched in awe as she mastered the challenge in ways no one thought possible. Isabella, on the other hand, struggled. Her arrogance faltered under pressure, mistakes piling up, each one magnified by the whispers of the crowd. Adrian, observing both women closely, leaned slightly forward. His eyes weren't on Isabella. They were on Lila, filled with admiration and intrigue. It seems the quiet ones often have the loudest impact, he murmured to himself, though everyone within earshot could hear. When the timer ended, the results were undeniable. Lila had completed the challenge flawlessly, leaving the room in stunned silence. Isabella's face drained of color. For the first time in her life, she was speechless. Adrian stepped forward, placing a hand lightly on Lila's shoulder. "Ladies and gentlemen," he announced, "the true measure of greatness is not wealth, power, or arrogance. It's the strength, intelligence, and dignity a person carries within. Tonight, Lila has shown us all what that truly means." The crowd erupted into applause, and Lila, the simple woman no one had noticed before, was now the center of attention, respected, admired, and, most importantly, untouchable. The applause had barely faded when Isabella, her face twisted with anger and humiliation, stepped forward. This is impossible," she hissed. "You can't possibly think a nobody can outshine me." Lila turned to her, calm and composed, her eyes steady. "It's not about being a nobody," she said softly, yet with an edge that cut through the room. "It's about respecting others, no matter who they are." The room fell silent again, everyone hanging on her every word. Isabella's fury boiled, but she could find no retort. Adrian walked slowly toward Isabella, his gaze icy yet measured. "Respect isn't optional, Isabella," he said. "It's earned. And tonight, you've learned a lesson that your arrogance never could teach you." Isabella opened her mouth, but no words came out. She turned red with fury and embarrassment, unable to respond as Adrian's words hung in the air like a verdict. Then Adrian extended his hand to Lila. "Would you care to join me for the rest of the evening?" he asked, a gesture that cemented Lila's newfound status among the elite. Lila accepted, walking beside him with grace. The crowd watched in awe. What had begun as a simple act of cruelty had transformed into a moment that no one would ever forget. Some whispered about revenge, some about admiration, but one thing was certain. Lila had changed the course of the evening, and perhaps the entire social circle, forever. Isabella, meanwhile, retreated to the corner, humiliated but seething, realizing that her wealth and status meant nothing without respect. Adrian, observing the scene, smiled faintly. "Sometimes," he said quietly, "the quiet ones teach the loudest lessons." The gala continued, but the atmosphere had shifted completely. The elite guests who once laughed and whispered were now watching Lila with awe, their admiration almost tangible. She moved through the crowd effortlessly, carrying herself with a dignity that no wealth or status could imitate. Isabella sat in a secluded corner, fuming. Every glance at Lila felt like a sting. She tried to regain control of the room, to reclaim the attention she believed was hers by right. But it was too late. Adrian, however, was not finished. He leaned closer to Lila and whispered, "This was only the beginning. The world sees you differently now, but there's more to do. Are you ready?" Lila's eyes sparkled, her calm confidence now coupled with a sense of purpose. "I've waited my whole life for this moment," she replied. Adrian nodded. "Good. Then it's time to show them all the real power of humility and intelligence. Not just tonight, but every day after." Meanwhile, Isabella tried one last desperate move. She approached Adrian, her voice trembling but defiant. "You can't. She's nothing. Don't you see? She's just a simple woman." Adrian turned to her, his expression unreadable. "And yet, tonight, she's shown more strength, skill, and integrity than you ever have. Some lessons, Isabella, can't be unlearned. The guests who overheard the exchange gasped. Isabella's facade cracked completely, and she slunk back into her corner, realizing she had lost not just the contest but the respect of everyone present. Lila, on the other hand, stood tall, a quiet smile on her lips. She had not only endured humiliation but had transformed it into triumph, her every move watched, admired, and remembered. Adrian's hand rested lightly on Hayes, a silent acknowledgment of her strength. "Tonight," he said, "the world has seen what you are truly capable of. And believe me, this is only the beginning." The story is building toward an even bigger climax, where Lila's true potential and the billionaire's intentions could reveal a jaw-dropping twist. The gala was winding down, but the tension in the room was electric. Guests whispered about Lila's unexpected rise, about the billionaire's strange allegiance, and about the humiliated Isabella, whose arrogance had finally met its match. Adrian stepped onto the stage, commanding the room's attention. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, "tonight has proven something very important. True greatness is not measured by wealth, by status, or by arrogance. It is measured by resilience, intelligence, and heart." He paused, scanning the crowd, before turning directly to Isabella. "And some lessons," he said, his voice low and deliberate, "are meant to last a lifetime." Isabella's face paled, but before she could respond, Adrian raised a hand toward Lila. "Lila, there's something you must know. Your potential, your talent, it's rare. I've been searching for someone like you, someone who can see beyond appearances, who can handle power with grace and integrity." The crowd gasped. Lila blinked, stunned. "Me?" she whispered. "Yes," Adrian said with a rare, warm smile. "I've decided tonight that you will not just be my guest, you will become my partner in change. Together, we'll reshape how the world views success, humility, and respect." Isabella's jaw dropped. "Partner," she stammered, her voice barely audible. How is that possible?" Adrian's gaze was steady. "Because, Isabella, no amount of arrogance or wealth can create the strength that Lila has shown. Tonight, she has proven something you will never understand. The quiet ones are the most powerful." Lila's eyes shone, not with pride, but with determination. "I accept," she said softly, "but I will do it on my own terms, with integrity and respect." The room erupted into applause. Guests who had once doubted her now looked at her with admiration and awe. Isabella slunk away, humiliated beyond repair, realizing that her actions had only amplified Lila's rise. Adrian leaned close to Lila. "Tonight was only the beginning. The world is watching, and now they will see what true greatness looks like." Lila nodded, a calm fire burning within her. She had turned humiliation into triumph, obscurity into influence, and ridicule into respect. And this was just the beginning of a story the world would never forget. The stage is now set for Lila's full transformation and dominance in this elite world, and the drama with Isabella can continue in future episodes if you want. The following weeks were nothing short of extraordinary. Word of Lila's triumph at the Blackwell Gala spread like wildfire through social circles, social media, and even news outlets. Stories were written about her poise, intelligence, and the way she had silenced the city's elite with nothing but dignity. Adrian had kept his promise. Lila was now working closely with him, helping to plan philanthropic projects, strategic business ventures, and social initiatives that no one else could handle. Every decision she made was precise, insightful, and impactful. Meanwhile, Isabella tried desperately to regain her footing. She threw lavish parties, flaunted wealth, and attempted to manipulate influential people, but every effort seemed to pale in comparison to Lila's growing reputation. People were drawn to Lila not because of wealth, but because of authenticity and strength, qualities Isabella could never fake. One evening, at a high-profile charity event, Isabella tried to confront Lila directly. "You think you won, don't you?" she sneered. "This isn't your world." Lila turned calmly, her eyes steady and her voice soft but firm. "This world belongs to those who respect it and respect others. And tonight, it's clear who understands that and who doesn't." Adrian, standing beside Lila, gave Isabella a look that was both warning and final judgment. "Sometimes the fall from arrogance is the hardest lesson to endure," he said. The elite crowd watched silently, knowing that Isabella had been completely outshone, not by money, but by character and courage. Lila smiled faintly at Adrian. "I never imagined it would be this powerful," she admitted. Adrian's eyes gleamed. "Power isn't given, Lila. It's recognized. And tonight, the world has recognized you." From that moment, Lila became more than a simple woman. She became a symbol that humility, intelligence, and courage could defeat arrogance and wealth every single time. The tension with Isabella is still alive, and Lila's influence is only growing. Isabella was furious. Every attempt she made to regain social dominance ended in failure. Lila's rise had not only captured the attention of the elite, but had also shifted alliances. Powerful figures who once bowed to Isabella now looked to Lila for guidance, advice, and partnership. Determined to reclaim her position, Isabella devised a bold plan. She spread rumors, tried to sabotage one of Lila's charitable events, and even attempted to manipulate Adrian's associates to turn them against Lila. But Lila was always 2 steps ahead. At the grand fundraising gala, Isabella tried to humiliate Lila publicly. She stepped onto the stage with a fake smile, pointing out a minor error in the planning of Lila's project. The crowd waited, sensing confrontation. Lila approached calmly, with a serene confidence that silence whispers immediately. She looked Isabella in the eye and spoke clearly. "Mistakes happen, but what matters is how you handle them. It's not about pointing fingers, it's about taking responsibility and finding solutions." The crowd erupted in applause. Lila then corrected the minor issue effortlessly, turning the attempted sabotage into a demonstration of her intelligence, composure, and leadership. Adrian, standing beside her, whispered, "You've done more than fix it. You taught everyone the real lesson." Isabella's face flushed with anger and humiliation. Her plan had backfired spectacularly, and Lila's brilliance had made her look petty and small. The elite now admired Lila not only for her courage, but for her strategic mind and ability to turn adversity into triumph. The night ended with Lila being the center of admiration, while Isabella retreated, plotting, but knowing deep down that her schemes were no match for Lila's calm intelligence. Adrian placed a hand on Lila's shoulder. "This is only the beginning. There are bigger challenges ahead, and together we'll face them all." Lila nodded, her confidence stronger than ever. She had transformed from a simple woman into a force to be reckoned with, respected, admired, and untouchable. The story is building toward a climactic confrontation and ultimate resolution between Lila, Isabella, and Adrian's world. Weeks passed, and the city's elite could no longer ignore the reality. Lila was here to stay. Every event she attended, every initiative she led, further solidified her reputation. She was admired not for wealth, but for wisdom, courage, and integrity, qualities that made her untouchable. Isabella, meanwhile, had grown desperate. Every attempt to undermine Lila ended in public embarrassment. Rumors she spread fell flat. Schemes she orchestrated backfired spectacularly, and even Adrian's closest associates ignored her. Finally, Isabella decided to confront Lila one last time. She cornered her at a private gala, her voice trembling with rage. "You think you won. You think you can just take everything from me." Lila turned, her gaze steady and calm. "I haven't taken anything from you. I've only shown what respect, patience, and intelligence can achieve. You've lost this battle because you underestimated the power of humility." Isabella's face twisted with fury, but before she could respond, Adrian stepped forward. His eyes were sharp, authoritative. "Isabella, this end tonight. Your arrogance, your schemes, they have no place here. If you cannot respect others, then you cannot belong among us." The guests watched in stunned silence as Isabella's bravado crumbled. For the first time, she felt powerless, humiliated, and defeated. Her social influence had evaporated, leaving her exposed and vulnerable. Meanwhile, Lila smiled gently. "There's always a choice," she said softly. "You can learn from this, or you can continue to fall. The choice is yours." Isabella turned and walked away, defeated. There was no laughter, no applause, just silence, a stark reminder that her actions had consequences she could not control. Adrian looked at Lila, admiration and pride shining in his eyes. "You've done more than win tonight," he said. "You've changed the rules of the game entirely. The The world now sees what true strength looks like. Lila nodded, and this is only the beginning. As the gala ended, whispers filled the room. The quiet woman had transformed into a force everyone respected, feared, and admired, leaving behind a legacy that will be remembered far longer than Isabella's fleeting arrogance. The story has now reached a major turning point. Lila's influence is secure, Isabella has been humbled, and Adrian's admiration confirms her unstoppable rise. Months had passed since the gala that changed everything. Lila was no longer just a quiet woman who had been humiliated. She was now a respected figure in every circle she entered. From charitable organizations to high-powered business meetings, everyone recognized her wisdom, integrity, and calm, unstoppable influence. Adrian stood proudly by her side, the partnership they had formed now a symbol of trust, power, and shared vision. Together, they launched initiatives that reshaped communities, empowered the marginalized, and set new standards for leadership and respect. Isabella, meanwhile, had faded into obscurity. Her arrogance had isolated her, and the elite no longer gave her attention. She had become a cautionary tale, a reminder that wealth and status could never replace humility, intelligence, and dignity. At a grand celebration honoring Lila's achievements, Adrian raised a toast. To Lila, proof that true greatness comes not from privilege, but from courage, patience, and heart. You've shown us all that even the simplest among us can rise to unimaginable heights. The crowd erupted in applause. Lila smiled, her eyes reflecting gratitude, strength, and quiet triumph. She had endured humiliation, faced challenges that seemed impossible, and transformed every obstacle into a stepping stone. That night, as the stars shone over the city, Lila realized she had not only changed her own life, but had also reshaped the world around her. Her story would be remembered, not for wealth, not for power, but for the unforgettable strength of a humble heart. Adrian took her hand. This is just the beginning. Lila, together, there's nothing we cannot achieve. Lila nodded, confident and serene. The world had underestimated her once, but never again. And so, the simple woman who had once been spat on, mocked, and ignored, emerged as a legendary figure of respect, courage, and unstoppable influence, leaving an unforgettable mark on everyone who crossed her path. The end.